Hello, everybody. This is Mike Tedesco, the editor-in-chief of Wrestleview.com.
And Victoria Tedesco. Real quick.
Okay.
I have a scratch in my face, everybody, from Liliana. It's not chocolate. It's not, because when I was online with my kids today, they're like, Miss Tedesco, you have food in your face from lunch. I'm like, no, boys and girls, my daughter scratched me because she thinks she's a cat. So.
Yes, Liliana thinks she's a cat, and she's vicious. She really is. She's starting to learn that she can like put a beating on you with her hands and stuff like that.
Oh, wait, show everybody how she was sitting tonight watching Raw.
She was standing in the pack and play with her arm hooked over the thing like this. She looked so sad. And somewhere out there, someone's going to say that we're abusive parents for allowing her to watch WWE Raw, at least in this form of it.
Well, yeah, there'll be critics out there who are like, "Why is your kid watching wrestling?" It's like, all right,
no,
we have no choice.
It's not even that. They'll just think it's child abuse because we're letting her watch Raw.
I know, but there's also gonna be somebody out there who's like, "Oh my god, stop letting your kid watch violence." It's like, all right, relax, please. Ugh. She thinks, like I said, she thinks she's a cat, so that's pretty much where we're at. So no, I don't have food in my face. I literally got a scratch.
Oh, right.
So that's just that little what is it? Public service announcement?
PSA.
Yeah.
It's a little PSA there. Okay. Let's say hello to everybody because I want to make sure that we get that out of the way first. We want to say hello. We want to thank everybody who has joined us tonight, and thank you for waiting for us. To start this show, obviously with the baby and all that stuff, we've been getting started later and later and stuff like that. Well, she's teething. She has all of her teeth coming in, so that's our excuse, and we're sticking to it. But let's say hello to everybody first. Let's say hello to Quentin Walters. Hello, Tedesco fam. We got Daniel Shell. He says he's calling parental services on us. Grash is here. He's on the wrong show, though. He's going, wee! That's not our show. That's another show. We got Goosey here. That child is scarred for life. That's all right. She didn't stay up for the main event, at least. She was already asleep by then. That would truly scar someone for life. Mashoon Walls is here. Another edition of Lily's Playground and future Royal Rumble winner, Victoria Tedesco. I like that. All right.
Thank you.
Andrew Elder blames Alexa Bliss for Lily acting up. It could be.
Yeah, it could be. She really does actually like that whole... Because it reminds me of Elmo's world.
That's it. Brian, she loved the Fiend stuff. A couple weeks ago, she was like way into it. It's like so scary.
Her of Elmo.
Yeah.
Bizarre.
Brian's here. Hello, Brian. We got Jorge Oliva here. Hola, familia Tedesco. I am ready for the first pie bet of 2021. Whoever gets the most predictions right wins.
Oh, is that the stipulation?
That's a good one. In case of a tiebreaker is the Royal Rumble match itself. Agree? I agree with that.
Okay.
I agree with that.
I think the tiebreaker should just automatically go to you because I've already been pied in the face several times. But we'll go with that one.
I Am Alpha is here. We say hello to I Am Alpha. Billy Hefner, Uncle Billy's here. Tyler Upson was here. Hello, Tyler. We're saying, oh gosh, we're trying to get Sweet Lewis here. Sweet Lewis is here.
Everyone's like come through.
Oh boy. So, well, I'm just gonna start off with a hot take. So today it was announced that NBC Universal's Peacock streaming service is buying the WWE Network, rumored to be a 5-year deal at $1 billion. So they're getting $200 million a year to have the WWE Network. Only for America. Every other country can continue with their WWE Network. But starting March 18th, NBC Universal's Peacock service will be streaming the WWE Network. So the streaming wars are alive and well. They need content, so they knock on WWE's door. All right. Tyler Upson's asking if it's going to be free. If you have Xfinity or something other, something with Cox Media or something like that, you will get Peacock for free. We have Peacock for free already. Now, if you want to have an ad-free experience, I think you have to pay a little for that. Ad-free, just buying Peacock without having it for free already is $9.99, so it's the same price as the network. But you can get Peacock's premium service, which would get you WWE Network for $4.99. So you're saving, in essence, $5 there, right? It's about $10 with tax and stuff like that. Mr. V is here. Hello, Mr. V. So it's a good deal, but $1 billion, another $200 million. it just doesn't, like, fiscally, it's an odd deal to make with them if you consider that they have 1.6 million subscribers at any one time, and that's at a really good period of time, you know?
Right.
So we have 1.6 million people, and they're getting $200 million a year. If I just do a little quick math, divided by 1.16 million. So they're paying $125 per subscriber for what they have right now for with their $200 million. If I did the math right, I did that very, very quickly. Divided by 1.6 million subscribers, yeah, $125 per subscriber. It's, to me, it just doesn't like make sense. I don't know how it's going to pay off in the end. The only thing that I can think of is that this is probably like a down payment or an act of good faith toward the McMahon family, saying, you know, NBC Universal is committed to WWE, and this, in my mind, could lead to, it's been rumored for years, the McMahon family selling WWE and it going to NBC Universal. There's been talk of them selling to Disney for a long time.
Yeah. That I do
ESPN's service wanted WWE Network. They didn't get it. ESPN is now cutting off all WWE content on their channels, so you won't see any more, you know, WrestleManias being replayed and stuff like that. They are done with WWE for now. I think that this could be possibly the beginning of the end for the McMahon family owning WWE. But I also think that if that's not the case, here's my real hot take. The Peacock deal could go down in history, just like WCW being bought in 2001, as one of the very worst things to happen to pro wrestling in America. Period. And people will say, Mike, that's crazy. They're making $200 million a year, you know, based on with their content on the WWE Network. How could you say that that could be bad for them? Yes, I'm not saying the money's bad, and I'm not saying that they should deny the money. I'm just saying it's just unbelievable how this company, for years now, has been getting rewarded more and more for terrible content and an eroding fan base. To me, it just doesn't make sense. The real reason behind this is really the streaming wars. They just need content. Peacock needs content. Jerome's pointing out that at their quarter four of 2020, they only had 26 million subscribers. That's why they're giving it away on Xfinity. They're trying to get their subscribers up. They want people paying for this service, so they need content. WWE is available. They spent a lot of money to get it. But it's essentially an endorsement of their horrible, horrible business practices of putting out storylines that they know people actively don't like, other than, like, you know, a bunch of, you know, apologists online that are really into this Alexa Bliss stuff. And there's not a lot of them. The majority of people, I'm not kidding. It's not like, you know, like I know a great corner of the internet or anything like that, but just from what I observe week in and week out, a majority of people do not like the content of WWE Raw. They just don't. And it's essentially a blank check to continue on. Now, and SmackDown's good. SmackDown's a good show, but people forget. It's like, main event scene's got Paul Heyman's fingerprints all over it. It's essentially, you know, a rehash of like what they did with Brock Lesnar, with dominating heel guy, except he's on TV every week. So they actually had to put more of a story into it than just, you know, crushing, you know, a person and then disappearing for 3 weeks or 4 weeks or 2 months or 5 months or whatever it is. So they have to actually do a little more, but it's essentially the same kind of outline as they gave Brock Lesnar. Would you agree with that?
Yes. Sorry, I have a couple questions for you.
Yeah, no problem. And they also have Daniel Bryan, who knows stuff about pro wrestling and cares about pro wrestling, also on the booking team. So that's why you see someone like Cesaro, who we've been waiting for years to get an opportunity, and someone like Shinsuke Nakamura, who should be way further along in WWE than he is, getting big spots, you know? So, but Bruce Pritchard, you know, unleashed on Monday Night Raw is terrible. And this is essentially another endorsement to just let him continue on. Everything's fine. Fucking, it's like, you know, the guy, you know, during the protests over the summer with the building burning behind him, he's like, everything's fine. It's peaceful. It's like, no, like, well, that doesn't look peaceful. And that's the shit that people kept replaying over and over again. Meanwhile, 93% of those protests were peaceful. But that's the clip that kept playing over and over again. It's this little area here, not good at all. And I think that this could really, really be harmful to WWE. Again, we were talking last week about how this company, during a pandemic, they are loving being in a pandemic because they don't have to listen to their fan base. They don't have to, they can control everything. Yeah. This weird thing of just like, okay, well, we're just going to keep pumping in crowd noise, even though, you know, if you go on the internet, you can see that people aren't into this and aren't into that. We're just going to keep pumping in the crowd noise, and eventually they're going to like them, or they're going to just turn off the television. Well, they're turning off the television. Okay? We talked last week about how they're unchecked. And this gives them another, you know, endorsement to say, you know, you're doing the right thing. Everything's great. Yeah. Not good.
Few questions for you. The first one that I have, though, is a couple of your, you know, things that you said about how two or things can happen, right? They wind up getting Peacock purchased, right? Like the network. Great. Then the other network, right, purchases the company, essentially.
Peacock and NBC Universal.
Peacock, okay.
Is NBC Universal.
Right. So then if the McMahons aren't involved, like if they're not part of it, who is running it then?
Well, then it comes down to it's going to fall into a department, just like WCW did, because they were owned by, you know, Turner Network Television, right? Or they were owned by Ted Turner's company.
Okay.
So there was an area, a wrestling division, where, you know, there was an overseer, and then they hired Eric Bischoff to control the wrestling production of it. So chances are they would hire somebody from like inside wrestling.
Okay, but my thing is like, is that simply just if they were to do something like that to get Vince not involved anymore? Because no. Like Stephanie too. Like, don't you think she would want? You don't think they would want to have own it?
Oh, of course they would. But anytime, if you think about it through the history now, anytime there's been rumors of McMahon selling, stocks go down. When they made a press release that said Donald Trump bought Monday Night Raw in 2009, the stock market went, the WWE stock went down. They couldn't differentiate that the Donald Trump buying Monday Night Raw is a storyline because they released it as a press release, which was dumb.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Somehow they have convinced Wall Street that Vince McMahon
McMahon's not in charge,
the only one. He's the genius that invented pro wrestling, and he's the only one that understands it, and he's the only one that can run it.
Okay.
If they even talk about Paul Levesque running it, they're not interested. If they talk about Stephanie running it, not really interested. They like Stephanie, you know, she's on her Forbes lists and stuff like that, whatever that means to something. But for the most part, they want Vince.
So then what would happen then if they sold?
Well, Vince is 75 years old. Eventually, you know.
No, I know eventually.
He doesn't want to die at the switch, and he also wants to ensure that the company will live on. You know, it's not far-fetched to say, you know, Shane McMahon was supposed to be the one that he was grooming to take take and then it became Stephanie. Yeah. And when it started becoming Stephanie, Shane left and Vince let him walk, his own son.
Right.
He will do what it takes to ensure that this company survives. Sure, yeah. And if that means going to NBC Universal, where they're guaranteed to always have revenue and, you know, a spot on television, he'll do that. You know, I really do believe that. Oh God, I like watching this show tonight. Just, it felt so hopeless, and I was watching this show, and I was like, you know what? What's the incentive to get better at this point? What's the incentive? They keep getting rewarded. You know, they make a $1 billion 5-year, $200 million a year deal. And this is what they come up with for tonight.
Unfortunately,
they had Edge on this show. announced that he's coming back from his injury. We haven't seen Edge since June. Yeah, since June. We haven't seen him since June. We haven't heard a peep from him since June. And he comes back on the show in the 10 o'clock hour with a promo, and it was a really good promo. You don't think that maybe bringing back a Hall of Famer who's going to be declaring for the Royal Rumble, and just by declaring for the Royal Rumble, he becomes a favorite for it, should have been promoted ahead of time? Like, you think people would want to see that?
Of course you would.
That alone should be a $100 million fine from NBC Universal. You guys don't know what the fuck you're doing with promoting anymore.
Yeah.
This is a company that is pure promotion.
Yeah.
And you're not promoting a key part of your show?
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't make sense at all. It doesn't. It really doesn't.
You know, but that's
truth be told.
But you watch the show, and it's like every single short-sighted decision that they've made in the past few weeks, where they're just booking these shows, a couple hours before it starts, comes back to haunt them.
I don't think they're going to have to do when a crowd comes back. I really don't.
They are going.
I think they're going to be like shell shock. And I think they're going to be.
I honestly think when they bring a crowd back, and they present a show like this to a crowd of live living human beings, and it gets either no response, or people are pissed, or people are booing, I promise you, Vince is going to be like, "What? What is going on?"
Yeah, no,
they're supposed to love this.
I really think they're going to be
shell-shocked. Are you kidding?
I think it'll be, I shouldn't say they. I think Vince will be shell-shocked. I think he's really going to be flabbergasted by the thought of, what do you mean you don't like this?
Vince is still,
because if everyone's catered to him to begin with, because if you're sitting in a meeting with him, right, and you're presenting ideas, and then he's changing this, that, and the other thing, and everybody's scared of their job, so no one's going to say to him, like, maybe we should, like, I kind of like the idea that I presented to you. Everyone's telling him that, like, no, this is really good. And like you just mentioned before, if the stockholders are really that invested in him, he already has this complex of, like, I'm the only one who can run this, right? So when the crowd comes back and and you're getting a true blue reaction from the fans about what's going on, he's not going to know what to do with himself. He really is just going to be, like, so taken aback by the fact that, what do you mean you don't like this? What do you mean this isn't going over? Like, I think this is the greatest thing that, that has been, since sliced bread or whatever.
Well, Vince is still stunned that Batista winning the Royal Rumble in 2014, getting backlash, he's still stunned about that. What? They want Daniel Bryan, but it's Batista.
Right.
It's Batista.
Right.
No, Vince, that's, again, this is a guy who's been disconnected with his fan base for a good 10 years now.
Like,
this 10 years.
Like, new, of course, but
they've tried
some
every
sense of reality, though, when the crowd was there a little bit.
Well, then he made it right. Then he made it right.
He could deny it.
I mean, they lost their crowd again in 2018, and they came out and they said, we're going to make it right. We're going to listen to the fans. And then they half-assed did that, and then now they're just back, and actually they're worse than ever. I would sign up for Constable Corbin and Dean Ambrose getting a veterinarian needle in the ass every week. At this point, I
just find that there's nothing.
At least there was an idea,
remarkable. Well, that's good. That's remarkable. Like, it's remarkably bad. Oh, jeez, where's the note?
I don't know. I'll switch over to you. You keep talking, and I will go take care of the situation.
I think it's, like, remarkably bad. I don't think there's anything, like, memorable. Okay, and say what you want about, I don't know where it went. On the floor? Oh, whatever. Okay, so you just mentioned, like, two things, right? Constable Corbin and Dean Ambrose with the whole, like, vaccine thing or whatever. But
oh, yeah.
But I will say this, though. Not that it was like, oh, that was great stuff. But you do remember that from that time.
I just remember how bad it was.
But this you don't remember. Like, you're not remembering anything. Like, I just remember. I feel like everything is just kind of blending together. And it's not, there's no, like, cohesiveness, and there's nothing to really say, except for, like, Drew McIntyre, right? And, like, the Edge and Orton stuff. That's basically it. But that was, like, pre-COVID.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't like Oh, like that came out of a result because of COVID. It was because it was just something that they were continuing with because it was a storyline. But those two events didn't happen because COVID happened. So like, it's hard to really. Everything is just kind of meshing together as this like jumble of like bad stuff. And I find that like even like in times where it was like bad, you still remembered things throughout the years. Like I'm finding a really hard time like remembering stuff. All I'm is overall feeling of like that sucked.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And that's not a good feeling.
I'm just reading through some of the comments because I haven't checked the chat in a little while. Grash saying it's a miracle that they've been producing content. Quality be damned, they're producing content. That's what matters. But it's not. I mean,
quality. It's a quality thing.
Well, they're producing content because, well, number one, that's just what they do. You know, it's like Owen Hart dies, we're just gonna keep doing our content. We're gonna keep doing our thing. It's the show. I mean, they produce content through 4 outbreaks. You know, multiple members of their roster getting COVID. People, you know, writing into the town council in Miami-Dade about dangerous working conditions. You know, yes, they're producing content, but they're also it's not really a miracle. It's just do it or find another job kind of thing.
Yeah,
and that's
yeah.
You know,
that's where we're at.
That's the reality of WWE.
Yes,
and it's not like they're producing content because they care about the fans and it's like, oh, we gotta, you know, we have to bring some normalcy. That's like the corporate line that, oh yes, we are a piece of Americana and we have to, you know, we have to make things normal for the fans. That's our priority. It's not. Their priority is always going to be, oh my God, could our deal be in jeopardy? Get those fuckers out there. Wrestle, you dancing monkey, go. It's like, that's their deal.
Yeah, I don't know.
And for the average stockholder, yes, they don't care about quality. We've talked about this before as well. But the average stockholder, yes, they love that bottom line. But these things don't exist separate from one another. It's the whole thing is symbiotic. You know, as you know, they'll get their money now. They made their deals with Fox and NBC Universal for Raw and SmackDown in 2018 when numbers were still good. They had Ronda Rousey. They got good deals. You know, they got $1 billion from Fox and you know, I think it was like $750 million from NBC Universal for Raw. You know, they made their money and they're set up for a while. And this NBC Universal deal with Peacock sets them up even longer.
Right.
But it's not the deals that they have now. Yes, they're making money now, but they've been systematically eroding their fan base over these last, I would say these last 3 years have been some of the worst some of the worst content we've seen. Mm-hmm. And like, this is like 1995 Raw. WWF has nothing on today, really. At least 1995, they had ideas and they followed through with storylines and they made sense. They weren't good. They certainly weren't good. Nobody wanted to see fucking Mabel in the main event, but there was build. It made sense. You know, nothing makes fucking sense now.
Well, even if 1995 was as bad as it was, right?
Yes.
You still had a lot of devoted fans.
And there was promising prospects on the horizon. Shawn Michaels was on the rise there. You know, you were set up for the future. You know, there was a good base there. I don't see what the base is now, but it's not the deals that they have now. It's the deals that are going to come up in 4 years from now when it's time to start renegotiating. And Fox is like, well, you promised us 3 million viewers. You promised us this. That didn't happen, not even close. And you can blame the pandemic all you want. At some point, you know, what was going on before the pandemic? Those numbers weren't there either, you know?
Yeah.
And it's going to be like, what are we going to do? Like, how do you, like, they're not going to get the money that they got.
I think the only saving grace that they have at this point is that, they have that kind of like instant gratification of what's going on, but eventually they are going to have to change what they're doing a little bit once crowds get back into the arenas and stuff. They have to. They have no choice. Like, you can't deny a live crowd. It will speak volumes. You could pipe in all, like when they used to do with SmackDown when it wasn't live, right? They used to pipe in all these, noises and crowd noises and audience reactions and everything else. But deep down, you knew what the fans really thought of it.
Yep.
So that's going to be the kind of their reality check where you have to change things. But we're a long way from there. We are. We don't know exactly when these, well, let's put it this way, significantly large crowds that can make a lot of noise will be able to attend these places.
It's going to happen in April for WrestleMania. Two nights of WrestleMania.
Yeah, but how many people are they allowing? Do we know?
I don't know. Well, I think they're allowing 20,000 fans for the Super Bowl at Raymond James.
I
didn't
even know that. Okay.
I know 7,500 of them are going to be vaccinated health workers, though. So that's the difference. So there's I highly doubt that most of the wrestling fans that are going to come out for this are vaccinated.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like,
but Florida doesn't give a shit. They don't care. They'll fucking kill everybody. They'll fucking kill everybody. Ron DeSantis will kill everybody just to say, hey, I never made them wear masks. Ha. I got over. Fuck you, liberty. Okay, liberty. Cool. All right, cool. Anyway, let's talk about Raw. I think we
have to.
Yes, because there were some good things. I want to talk about the good stuff first.
With the good stuff and
yes,
forget the bad stuff, right?
Yes.
No, just kidding.
Well, I would love to, but we do have to get to the bad stuff. But I don't want to harp on it. I want to talk about some positivity here. And the one positive thing is Drew McIntyre coming back from having the coronavirus. He's back, and the one thing that WWE is doing right, they don't have a mid-card, they have no hierarchy, they have no structure, they have no fucking ideas. Their women's division is in the toilet on Raw. Wow. SmackDown's looking pretty good.
You could end the show right now. You pretty much put it in the good summary.
SmackDown's looking good because, again, you have people that actually kind of understand wrestling, and on Raw, you have insufferable kiss-ass Bruce Pritchard. Just, the world has never seen an ass kisser the likes of Bruce Pritchard. Never. And he's just free reign, no checks, no balances. You have a bunch of fucking nerdy writers who they come up with one bad idea and you're out. So it's a shit show. They have no hierarchy, no mid-card, no women's division. They have nothing, but they do have Drew McIntyre. And they have done a good job with Drew McIntyre. I've said this since, for over a year now. Drew McIntyre is excellent. And tonight it hit me. It's like Drew McIntyre could be the best main event babyface that they've had since Daniel Bryan. Now, Daniel Bryan is obviously he's still active, and I actually think Daniel Bryan's one of my favorites to win the Royal Rumble, which would be awesome. See him get one more final run because, he's starting to wind down. And Drew McIntyre comes out. He talks about having COVID. He was lucky with the symptoms. He said he was fatigued and lost his sense of smell, but he was lucky. He's now 100% and will be 100% on Sunday, and he's dedicating the match to all those suffering from the virus. We will get through this. And I was like, damn. Coming from anybody else, it would sound corny, but he sounds so damn genuine. And I was just like, I was watching. I was like, this big, rugged Scottish guy with this great accent and big, forceful beard and hair. I was like, wow, this dude's as genuine as they come. He just I was watching. I was like, he just seems like a good dude. He looks like somebody I'd want to hang out with. Yeah, he looks like somebody that's cool and that I want to keep watching.
The one, to kind of go off of what you were saying just before, the one thing he has over Daniel Bryan is the authority support. He has Vince's support behind it and everybody else in the higher ups, that Daniel Bryan did not have.
Yeah.
But Daniel Bryan had the crowd, but he didn't have the higher ups supporting it, mainly Vince, right? Yeah. So Drew McIntyre has both going for him. A genuine crowd, a genuine fan base where people actually like him are rooting for him.
Oh, yeah.
Supporting him.
Yep.
Engaged, interested, what have you. But he also has Vince McMahon's support.
Yes.
And
that's
he's
key.
Totally behind him.
That's key.
That is one thing that he has over Daniel Bryan. And there's another reason why this is working just so well. But he got over organically. Even though he had that support and that, like, push, he still made it his own.
Yes.
And you have to give him credit for that. And
100%.
It does. Everything that he said tonight did sound genuine. It sounded authentic. And I like the fact that they are addressing again, because they didn't never addressed it. But Drew McIntyre's coming out. I tested positive. I had the virus. Not nearly as bad as other people in our nation and the world, right? Mm-hmm. But here we are.
Now Goosey's saying, he's right. And I'm not saying that Drew McIntyre is 100% recovered from this. I mean, he's an elite athlete, no doubt, and he's in great shape. But Goosey, you look at the performance of NFL players that came back from COVID, and they're not even close to what they were, and it's that way for months. And Goosey knows having it twice. He's lucky that he's working with Goldberg on Sunday, because you don't really have to wrestle for that one. You just need to big move, big move, big move. It'll last 3-4 minutes. Is actually probably the best thing to happen to McIntyre right now, is to kind of slow himself down and kind of let his body still heal, even though the Goldberg match will be physical. He can heal. He doesn't have to exert himself. He doesn't have to stretch his lungs out too much, especially if, he's fatiguing still. And it'll give him time to, take a rest, get ready for WrestleMania, in April. That's the goal. We're about 2 months away from WrestleMania. That's enough time to kind of get over, like, the lingering symptoms of this. There's no question about it that COVID is terrible. It's like, we know people who've had it. We know people who've died from it. I just went to a funeral of somebody who died from it last week. It's a very real, very persistent threat. And those that recover from it, like my father recovered from it, still sore weeks later. And some people I know that had it in March still don't have their taste and smell back. Like there are lingering symptoms. Quentin Walter saying he's not 100% weeks or months after getting COVID. So I'm curious to see, like, I am curious to see how Drew McIntyre comes back from that. But what I'm saying in the immediate is that he was genuine about the COVID diagnosis. He's the only one in the company that they've confirmed had COVID. Yeah. And and if you're going to have a spokesperson for the company to say, hey, put on a fucking mask and just be a decent human being. Stop fucking, whining about your liberty, and just put the damn mask on. I've seen too many people die. It's not a political statement. It's just a reality statement. It's a real persistent threat. People are dying from it. People are getting it. It's not fun. And it's a high survivability, rate, and 99% survive.
People say that when for that other 1%, though.
But that's still, but that 1% that dies, that's still someone's family member. That's someone. It's someone's father. It's my friend's father. We had 2 friends lose their fathers to it. Yeah. It's someone's grandparent. Like, why does their life matter less than yours when you could just strap on a mask?
And you know what?
Doesn't matter.
And you know what too? And again, this is the last I'll say about the whole COVID thing. Stop saying kids can't get it. Stop saying babies can't get it. And stop saying, that, like, oh, they're immune to it or whatever. I have seen more and more in the past few weeks, infants getting it, toddlers getting it, children getting it. I have multiple students in my class. Mind you, I only have like 16 students this year, okay? That's a smaller number than previous years. I've had like about 5 get COVID. Yep. And they're little kids. They're little kids. And they're still suffering from the, the lingering effects and whatever. So guess what? If you don't, a lot of you are very supportive of our daughter, right? You like, a lot of you have been very behind her. Sometimes we're forced to have to take her out when we go grocery shopping, when we do whatever we need to do, right? Wear the damn mask for my little girl.
Yeah, absolutely.
For the other little girls out there, for the other little boys, the other kids, and whoever. Just wear the mask. It's not... and
even though it's like a high survivability rate, like, I don't want to get it. I just don't want to get it. I know if I got COVID, I would survive. Watch, I get COVID, I die. But
No, stop.
I'm just saying. But like, I just don't want to get it. I don't like being sick. I don't like feeling. I'm like terrified of losing my taste and smell. Like that would just drive me nuts. Like just things I just can't handle. I don't know. I'm a wimp. What can I do? Goosey also says, there is a good point to what Goosey just said just now. We know how WWE doctors bend the rules for storylines, i.e. CM Punk. Drew McIntyre was diagnosed with COVID 2 weeks ago on Monday, or at least that's when they released it. He was wrestling at that Indian spectacle or spectacular, whatever they recorded last week. He was wrestling. Seems like they rushed that one a little bit. Ooh, I mean, the 2 week thing doesn't exist in Florida, I suppose. I don't know. But anyway. So anyway, he comes off as just super genuine. I hope he's okay. I hope he is totally, I hope he doesn't have any lingering effects of it. I can't see how he wouldn't. I mean, elite athletes have lingering symptoms. You look at what happened to that pitcher for the Boston Red Sox. I'm trying to Edgar Rodriguez or I'm trying to think of his name. Rodriguez. Let me think. Yeah, Eduardo Rodriguez. He had he got COVID and it affected his heart. He couldn't pitch in 2020 because it affected his heart. It like really hurt his heart. Not good. So we hope that he has no lingering effects. DeAndre Sisson, oh my gosh. You want to see what we deal with? That's Liliana right now.
That's a teething child.
She's just sitting up in bed, just thinking about life right now. So Victoria's going to have to get her in a sec. But we have Daniel M here. We have DeAndre Sisson here. I don't know I don't watch Monster Jam, sorry. But he comes off as super genuine.
All right, I'll be back.
All right, Victoria will be back.
The camera.
Yes, I'm going to take you off the camera, but you're going to just come right into my shot anyway.
True.
You're right there. See? There she goes. And then you're going to hit
my big butt.
Then you're going to hit the camera. You're going to hit the monitor. Here it goes. Oh, there we go. Okay. Goldberg comes out after perfect. Good stuff. All right, we'll fix your camera later. So Goldberg comes out after the Miz and Morrison come out. Now, this is I really like this opening segment, but for the love of God, does anybody want the Miz within 100 miles of this storyline? Like that is not good heat. What the Miz is getting right now. I don't tell me to shut up. You know that is bad. This shtick that they're doing, this heel shtick that's supposed to be like some kind of pseudo comedy, like, oh, we're just really annoying because we're heels. It's cringe. It's horrible. It's terrible. And God, it's like now that he has the fucking Money in the Bank contract back, it's like number one, they killed the Money in the Bank gimmick. That's just over. But God, it's like I don't want to see the Miz on my television anymore. I just don't. I don't care if I fucking sleep on the couch for until WrestleMania. I don't want to fucking see the Miz anymore. He is fucking just turn off TV. He just is. He's turn off television. It's bad. But I did like Goldberg coming out. If I were Goldberg at 54 years old, I would not get that close to Drew McIntyre just yet. I would give it a couple more days and wait till Sunday to get into his face. But that's what they did. I did show Victoria the meme, Andrew, and you are on the list. I assure you you're definitely on the list. I did like the beatdown at the end. It was pretty paint by numbers when it came to the promotion for Drew McIntyre and Goldberg, but that's what it needs to be. That's all it needs to be. It doesn't need to be, anything more complex than this. Probably the best thing was that the two of them were off for 2 weeks. The Goldberg midget Drew McIntyre thing was horrible, but at the end of the day, this is a feud that doesn't need a lot to garner interest. They put it on at the start of the show because they know that that's the only time when the most people watch, because they hemorrhage viewers as the show goes on. So you put them on at the beginning and it was fine. Paint by numbers, not much there, but it doesn't need to be. Oh God, can we? And I'm going to talk about the other thing that I liked. I really liked the Edge promo. I really, really did. I wasn't expecting him to be on the show tonight because they didn't promote it. They didn't promote it at all. WWE Hall of Famer, Edge coming back. Do you think people would be interested in maybe tuning in for that? Maybe they'd hear, oh, Edge is going to be on the show. Okay, oh God, this fucking women's match is never ending. But I'll stick around and watch because Edge is going to be on the show. All right, fine. I'll keep watching and see what he says. Maybe he's coming back. I don't know. Well, he is coming back. He declared himself to be in the Royal Rumble this year. So his triceps injury is healed after a long couple months to get that healed. He's been gone for 7 months or so. So, and he just cut a great promo, passionate promo. If you know about Edge, Adam Copeland, you know that he was raised by a single mother. He loved his mother. He mentioned his mother in his promo. And if you know about him, you know that his mother passed away. He didn't say, oh, my mother who passed away or anything like that. He wasn't like fishing for sympathy. But if you know the story of Adam Copeland, that made this promo carry even more weight when he was, because it was a shoot, in a very real sense, that this was just a shoot, about his career, about losing his career and coming back and wanting to just have that one more final run. And it's not far-fetched. He wants to make this dream come true one more time. And you could just feel the passion. And it's nice that, to hear a promo and half of it doesn't sound manufactured like fucking Charlotte Flair, and I go to bat for Charlotte Flair. I think she's a great talent. She can't, obviously, her talent has limits. She's not her father in the fact that she can wrestle anybody and make it look good, because this women's division on Raw is a dumpster fire, and she's not helping anything at all. Partly because her character is completely bipolar. They don't know what she is. They don't know how to book her as a babyface. They don't even know how to book her as a heel. She's just stuck in some limbo. But tonight, it sounded like she was reading off of a teleprompter. There was no passion in anything that she said. None whatsoever. Partly because it's a shitty storyline as well. But no passion, no excitement, no interest in seeing her perform when she's acting that way. But here, this guy was dripping with, just absolutely dripping with excitement and passion, and it's what you want. That's you want to bottle that up. You want to just infuse it into every character that you can. They can't. That's why people still tune in to watch the Legends, because they know how to do it, because they came up in an environment where you're set to succeed. If Ric Flair was coming up in this environment, would there be a Ric Flair? Would there be a Ric Flair if he came around in 2020 rather than 1972? Would there be a Ric Flair? I don't think so. Would there be a Steve Austin if he came up in 2018 rather than 1988? I don't think so. This is not an environment where people are set up to succeed. So that's and I would love to see anybody other than like Drew McIntyre, on this Raw roster cut a promo like Edge just did tonight. Impossible. Maybe Randy Orton as well, but that's about it. They don't have much there. The rest of the show, so those are the two things that were absolutely worth checking out. The rest was just, oh God, it's a crime against dumpster fires to call this a dumpster fire. For the first half hour of actual content after that opening segment, from 8:15 to 8:45, and it felt like it went to 10:45, was locked up with some of the worst women's wrestling you will see in a professional organization. Charlotte Flair versus Shayna Baszler didn't even get off the tracks, and it was mostly Charlotte just dominating Shayna. That's real fucking interesting. Yeah, that just Charlotte is apparently, Asuka and Charlotte, who haven't appeared on screen together in weeks, and they're the tag team champions, are facing Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler at the Royal Rumble, and Asuka wasn't even involved in a single angle with this. And Flair easily takes out Shayna Baszler before Nia Jax drops a leg drop. Okay, great. Of course, Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke run down to break up the double team, and Lacey Evans, and it's like, okay, it's a tag team match, player. Like, you just knew it was coming back with a tag match. I think I even tweeted out, like, obligatory tag match coming up. Pointless, but obligatory. And then they do some terrible wrestling. And then Shayna Baszler has Charlotte outside forever. You can hear the count. And then it's like, she realizes, like, oh, 9 means it's close to 10. I guess I better get her in the ring, right? Oh, well, it's not real, but I guess I better get her in the ring anyway. So she puts Charlotte in the ring at like 9.5, and she starts trying to slide in, and John Cone counts to 10. And he says, oh, nope, you're counted out. Why he couldn't just say, oh, nope, she made it, because she was halfway in. He counted her out as a shoot, as if like all of a sudden people care about the referee's credibility. This is multiple times has happened in the last few months with referee stoppages or screwed up finishes. It happened to the New Day and the Hurt Business. Right, I think the night after Survivor Series, it happened to them. They were having a good match, and then all of a sudden a count out happened, and then it was just confusion, and then it just wound up just being crap. So utter confusion. Charlotte Flair, Mandy Rose, and Dana Brooke win by count out, and then during the break, doesn't make sense at all in storyline. Shayna Baszler was legit counted out. They're screaming that's not fair, as heels do. But then the faces are like, yeah, come on back. Let's do this match again. It's like, well, once again, stupid faces abound in WWE. Shayna Baszler, Nia Jax, and Lacey Evans win. I thought Dana Brooke was legit knocked out on that chokeslam from Nia Jax. You saw her head bounce off the mat like a melon. It looked terrible. And she was, I really do think she was out. I am very curious to find out the status of Dana Brooke, because she looked like Nia Jax dropped the leg. She didn't flinch at all. She was just out. But man, this was a long half hour, and it showed every pimple on this Raw women's division. It is in a sorry fucking state. You think about this women's evolution, they snap their fucking arm, patting themselves on the back. Hey, did you know that women are humans? I just found that out. It's like, now look at the women's division. They haven't improved. They haven't upgraded. In fact, they've gone backwards. And Jesus, it's just hard. It's tough to watch. And then you have 70-plus-year-old Ric Flair running around Lacey Evans as if that's going to help Lacey, and that's doing anything for Rick. And it's certainly not helping Charlotte, because it's like another storyline. Like Charlotte can never get out of her father's shadow because they keep booking him and his oversized nose to be in all of her fucking stuff. Eventually, you got to cut it loose. Stop with Ric Flair. It's like, and why would you use Ric Flair in a situation like this, where who wants to boo Ric Flair in 2021, number one? And number two, they're not even promoting that he's on the show, and they're using him in random segments. It's like, well, if you're going to use Ric Flair, put him in a fucking segment where people are going to see him, or promote that he's going to be, coming up, Ric Flair. Nothing. It just makes no sense. It doesn't help anybody. And again, it's just relying on legends, because they can't get people over to a point where it's like, you know what, they're a star now. They'll always be a star just because they're in a shot with, a legend. That's how you determine stars now. That ain't it. Retribution on TV, at least, I hate Retribution. And again, the Peacock deal is it's just a blank check to let Retribution run wild, because it's shit and nobody gives a fuck, because we're making $200 million a year. Who cares? Retribution on television, at least they have a semi half-baked idea of a storyline for them with Mustafa Ali and Kofi Kingston when he comes back, because that could be a good match. And that's like the one story that makes sense for Retribution, and that's it. Well, it makes sense for Mustafa Ali. Doesn't make sense for Dominik Dijakovic or Mace or Shane Thorne or Mia Yim. And I'm only saying Mace because I forget his name. What the hell was his name? The commentator. I can't remember. Dion something, or I don't remember. Well, Mace, whoever's Mace now. But it's like, you know, like that storyline makes sense for Mustafa Ali because he was geared up to, like, you know, he was geared up to have a good showing at Elimination Chamber. The crowd was behind him, and then they got behind Kofi, and then he came back at Fastlane, and that was the end of Mustafa Ali. Victoria's back. If you can't see, we got to fix your camera first there,
We also
bucko.
have to... Oh.
You're not live. It's not live. It's just a shot. Okay. Jesus Christ. You are terrible at this. This is why...
Can you lower your voice a little?
This is why this takes forever to get on the air, because she doesn't know how to set anything up.
I heard everything you said up there.
About The Miz? Admit it.
No, I said I heard everything. Can you lower your voice a
No,
little?
I can't. I'm speaking.
You have a microphone for a reason.
I don't care.
You don't need
Yes,
to
and I'm using it. I'm using it.
You don't need to be so loud.
Just talk about The Miz.
You stop.
Talk about The Miz.
Stop.
Talk about The Miz.
I am. Just freaking lower your voice.
My voice is fine. Come on. We're doing a show. Let's go. We're talking about The Miz.
I'm really... I am so mad at you.
Okay.
I am.
You think The Miz is good?
This is not his best storyline, but, like, you all are being very unfair.
I am? Mm-hmm. You think that's unfair?
I think you're unfair.
I think he's terrible. I think it's driving people away.
Driving... Okay, you're being very dramatic. Driving people away? You're literally blaming the entire show on him. What's the matter with you?
I'm not blaming the show on him, but it's like...
But what you're thinking, you think The Miz is on, like, people are just turning off the television like that?
After that nightmare before TLC,
okay.
I was ready to.
Like, everyone has a bad night, though, but I don't think The Miz is the be-all, end-all of, like, oh, yeah, let me just turn off... Like,
it's turn off television. Well, anyway.
I mean, you turn off the television, but you're not like, oh, I'm not going to watch Raw tonight because of The Miz.
No, I don't want to watch Raw because of Raw.
Okay,
but
you're making it sound
Miz
like
is,
so dramatic.
But Miz is like a featured portion of this show.
Where it's like you turn on the television like really bad, like okay, you see Retribution or everything else on the show. You don't see Miz and you're automatically
but Miz is featured.
Okay, he's featured.
He's
But
featured.
he's not the worst thing on the friggin' show.
He's a featured portion of this show.
He's a featured portion, but he's not the worst thing on the show.
He's not one of the best either.
He's
close. He's close to the bottom. He's
You're
close.
making it sound so dramatic.
He's close to the bottom.
You're so dramatic.
Okay,
right
but he's close to the bottom.
No,
I think
you are. You're being very dramatic.
I know, but he is close to the bottom.
But it's not close to the bottom.
Okay, let's continue on with the show.
It's
you
not.
got your obligatory Miz stuff in there.
No, don't even. Let me finish.
Finish, but don't drag it out.
It's not right though, because you're making it like now you're just being bitter for no reason.
I'm not being bitter.
You're being overly critical of that portion of the show. There are 10 times I can name like 10
No, I'm going to
things that
say
are way
something good
worse.
about him. I'm going to say something good about him coming up. The match
go
was
ahead.
I thought the match was good. So anyway, the germ of an idea with Retribution, it makes sense for Mustafa Ali. I still have no idea why T-Bar, Mace, Shane Thorne, Dio Madden is the name. Thank you, everybody. Why they follow him around. He's done nothing to help their careers. Shane Thorne fucking loses again tonight. Xavier Woods is just there. But Mustafa Ali is going to have a good match with Kofi Kingston at least at some point. Maybe at Fastlane, maybe at WrestleMania. I'd be happy to see it. John Morrison and The Miz. So we have Sheamus versus John Morrison first. Okay match. It was fine. Nothing great. I thought Sheamus, was a little too much not selling the knee, so it kind of took me out of it a little bit. But physical, fine. Sheamus beats John Morrison with the white noise. And then The Miz challenges Sheamus to a handicap match because he says you have to have your head on a swivel in the Royal Rumble. So face us in a handicap match, which makes no sense. And why would Sheamus accept that other than he's a stupid babyface? Trademark WWE. Sheamus faces John Morrison. The Miz, I gotta say, a lot of people have said that Miz is kind of like fluff in the ring, and he works safe, and he sometimes is overly safe. His strikes don't look convincing. Some people would argue. Well, I was watching Miz stomp Sheamus in the face in the corner of the ring tonight, and he was laying it in. And I don't know if it's just like Sheamus is like, "Come on, fella, fucking lay it in on me." Or if it was just like, okay, it's a physical match. He's been clubbing me, and I'm gonna fucking tattoo him with a couple of good kicks here. But The Miz looked like a real man tonight. You know, with those kicks, he looked legit there,
Miz
and
can work.
he can work. He's always been able to work.
There's a misconception about him with his matches that he's not. He's more. And granted, he's very good on the mic. We know that it's a strong suit of his. But over the years, he really has developed into this nice, character inside the ring. I find, you know what I mean? He does like the comedic, heel stuff where he'll be cowardly and come out of the ring and, try to avoid bad situations and stuff, which that's just his character, But you can rely on him for like a good match. You really can.
I always point back to the last time Raw had an enormous number was Raw 25. In 2018, when they brought back Steve Austin, they brought back all the legends.
Yeah.
They did half the show at the Manhattan Center, and they did half it at the Barclays Center.
Yes.
And the Miz was all over the show. He was at the Barclays Center having a great Intercontinental Championship match with Roman Reigns, and then they sent him over to the Manhattan Center to be there with the legends at the end. That was the pinnacle for Miz. They trusted him to have a match with Roman Reigns, and they put him over Roman Reigns for the Intercontinental Championship, and it was an excellent match. I mean, and people argue too with him. Miz was the MVP of Raw from like 2016, 2018. Then they moved him to SmackDown. It's like, damn, he was missing on the show, but now that he's back, it's like, it's kind of like what they did with Braun Strowman. Like Miz at any point from 2016 to 2018, even 2019, he was okay on SmackDown when he was a face, facing Shane McMahon. It's like Miz should have been Money in the Bank. When he had the B team with him, when he had Damian Sandow with him, he was a hot heel. He was the MVP of the show. It's like that's when you give him the Money in the Bank and tease Money in the Bank cash-ins with him and maybe even give him a title run. But now it's like, he's 2 years past like that really hot stage. It's just like what they did with Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman was red hot 2018, early 2019. They got the steam back. Late 2017, Braun Strowman was super hot, and they never pulled the trigger. And then by the time they pulled the trigger on him, it was just like, oh, well, Braun Strowman's just winning the title from Goldberg because Roman Reigns didn't want to compete at WrestleMania. And it felt hollow. It felt like nothing.
I think all kidding aside, obviously I defend The Miz. And again, this is not my favorite storyline that they haven't been involved in.
Let me just say that this is 2 years too late. This would have been better 2 years ago.
I don't know if it's necessarily 2 years too late, but the only difference between Miz and someone like you mentioned, like Braun Strowman, I feel like Braun Strowman's never had like a clear-cut consistency. It's either like he's really good or he's involved in really bad segments, right?
Well, not in 2017, 2018. He was like, Braun Strowman was red hot.
Right.
Whenever they would bring him out, it was just crazy. I remember he was a surprise entrant in a tag match once, and the place lost their minds.
And I get that. I'm not saying that, but my thing is with him in particular, he hasn't been in the company all that long for us to make a fair judgment on an overall perspective. So I think with The Miz, if you look at his career overall, yeah, he's had some dry spells in it for sure. But overall, I think he can get back into a place of where people are more interested in watching him and he's not involved in something like this. He does evolve himself in a way where, like, even if he's in like a weird storyline or angle that's not particularly like him, you know what I mean? He can get himself out of it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just a weird time right now. I do think that it's more of a Morrison thing than a Miz thing.
Right.
And I like them together. I do. But the characters do need to evolve a little bit, obviously, from what they did in the past and everything. But Miz can get out of it, though. Maybe do I want him to have the championship? Yeah. Of course, selfishly, I would love for him to have a title, but it has to be done the right way. It has to be done the right way where, he's involved with McIntyre and like he's just kind of that annoying little fly that's always just going to be there because he has the Money in the Bank, right?
Yep.
And you're going to always think about him, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he shouldn't be overly involved.
Yeah. Well, he's overly involved, and I don't think. I don't think people are watching Goldberg and McIntyre and saying, Jesus Christ, I hope the Miz gets involved in this match. It's like nobody wants him within 100 miles of that match. It's like that's not where you need to have him right now. Just reading that Vince McMahon's brother Rod McMahon passed away last Wednesday. So prayers go out to Vince on that one. That's sad news to lose your brother. Nafis Sadat dropping in to say hi. Hi, Nafis. And we have to say, I was hoping Nafis was going to be on the show last week. Thank you so much for sending us a card for the holidays.
It was very sweet.
A good dude.
Thank
Nafis
you.
is just a great dude. Anyway, getting back to this show. So the handicap match was physical. It was good stuff. I really liked the showing from Miz and Morrison. And they, for once, it's like since Miz won Money in the Bank, it's like, oh, he has Money in the Bank, so that means he just has to lose every fucking match from here on out. He won this match, and he looked pretty convincing doing it too. We had some VIP segment that's not even worth talking about. AJ Styles beats R-Truth because we got to do that. Riddle wins a gauntlet match against Shelton Benjamin, MVP, and Cedric Alexander. So that means he gets a U.S. title opportunity, which that's great for Riddle. And it would be totally awesome. And this is where WWE's short-sighted booking comes back to bite them again. They had Riddle set up and kind of hot for a U.S. title match against Bobby Lashley, and they made it abundantly clear that Matt Riddle is not in Bobby Lashley's fucking universe because they had Bobby Lashley destroy him at every given opportunity. They let Riddle roll him up for a cheap little win, and then he was destroyed after that. And then when it came time for the U.S. title match, Bobby Lashley murdered him. So what incentive is there to watch Riddle have another match? He went through this gauntlet match, but who gives a fuck? And then even after that match, stupid Riddle hears Bobby Lashley's music hit, and he just stands there with his back to the stage. And then he goes, oh, I think Bobby Lashley might be coming out. And Bobby Lashley ran halfway down the ramp by that point. Another stupid babyface. Blindsided him. Like, who wants to see that match?
No, nobody.
Doesn't make sense.
I shouldn't say nobody. Not very many people.
Well, Vince does. And that brings us to our miserable fucking main event. Before this main event, earlier in the show, in the 10 o'clock hour, because they have no ideas, and I guess they have, a roster riddled with, people being out and stuff like that. Even though, Jeff Hardy and Elias were there. I mean, I'm kind of happy that we didn't have to sit through another fucking Elias, Jeff Hardy, Jackson Riker thing.
Yeah, definitely.
They were there. They were on Raw Talk, but they replayed the entire promo from Randy Orton last week.
They did.
And then they did a boring promo with Alexa Bliss on the fucking swing set, talking to the empty swing set about, which is supposed to signal Bray Wyatt's there. I thought she was talking to Bernie Sanders, but talking about how she wants her new toy and what they did to Randy Orton and blah, blah. I don't know. My mind shuts down when I listen to this crap at this point.
Actually, I remember you at this point in the show, you were like...
Yes, the Undertaker stuff was gimmicky. His magic stuff was gimmicky, but it hadn't been done before. And because there was a live crowd there, you can't do these cute little cutaways and fucking, she's in a new outfit now. And then we're going to do these camera tricks. It's going to be really cool. And we're artsy and we're going to win an Emmy. No, you're fucking not for this shit. This seemed, this was just, it's not a horror movie. It's not a good one, at least. It was like I started watching, for whatever reason, I just wanted to watch a horror movie the other night. I started watching this Sinister 2. I thought the first Sinister was very, very good.
Yeah, it was good.
With Ethan Hawke was in it, I believe. And it was really, really spooky. It was good. It was really good. And Sinister 2 was most assuredly not that. Horrible story. Fucking typical crummy jump scares, if you could even call them that. The sequel that nobody asked for and they didn't want. This is worse than Sinister 2. This ain't a horror movie. It sure as fuck ain't professional wrestling. It's not sports entertainment because it's neither sports nor entertaining. But these camera cuts with her on a rocking chair, and then another camera cut, and she's in her goddess attire, and then another camera cut, and now she's back in the black attire, and then all of a sudden Asuka's makeup is messed up again, and it wasn't messed up before. It's like, give me a fucking break. This stuff sucks
They
to high
think
hell.
Because, it's funny. They think because...
Oh, the pandemic, we could be even cuter.
No.
It's like, give me a break.
Well, yes and no.
There's no fucking crowd.
Because of, like, the Boneyard match, that got such, like, it did. It got, like...
Boneyard match was almost a year ago at this point.
No, I know. But what I'm saying is they think because of, like, stuff like that, some of their cinematic stuff, that they're like, oh, let's just continue with this. It's like, no. Like, come on. Like, again, everything in moderation, and it has to make sense.
Yep.
And this does not make sense. So you're completely just, at this point...
It stinks. It just... This is not wrestling. Like, what's the point? They make Asuka look horrible. And all of a sudden, why? Because Bliss is wearing black lipstick. Now she powers out of everything, and they're doing the mandible. This is not wrestling. It's not wrestling. It's some corny ass horror movie.
Well, again,
and it's not even a good horror movie.
A very good point.
It just sucks.
That's a very good point. If it was a good horror movie, you'd be like, you almost accept it. Be like, oh, this is a wrestling show.
Well, I don't think I still don't think I'd accept it, but at least I could say well, the writing is fucking pretty good.
It's good.
And people just giving them a free pass. Oh, Alexa Bliss is carrying this so beautifully, and she's so talented. It's like,
well, no, she is talented.
It's like she's doing a good job. There's no doubt about it.
Talented.
She's doing a great job. She's doing a great job with the shit pie that they're trying to serve up here. She's making a go of it.
I actually give Alexa Bliss a lot of credit.
But it doesn't discount the fact that this fucking sucks.
No doubt about it. But
it's killing wrestling.
I give Alexa Bliss a lot of credit because I think she's the only thing good about this, where she's the only one that can make it look, like, entertaining, I guess. I don't know. Like, she's the only one who could pull this off. If it were literally any other female, it'd be like, oh, dear Lord, please just shut off the television immediately, But
Daniel Schell, though, I know is going to frantically be registering to be part of the Thunderdome next week, hoping to see Alexa Bliss change during the commercial and stuff like that, hoping to leave the camera on there.
Leave Daniel alone.
I love Daniel. He knows I kid him with all the love in the world. But this sucks. This sucks.
But this sucks.
And it's just, again, here's a blank check to just run amok with some of your fucking worst inhibitions possible.
No, we got that reference.
I didn't get it either. My one tweet was "fuck this show" seriously, and like.
Can you delete that?
People loved it. Nope, I will not delete it. But this is it's not professional wrestling. It's like someone's fever dream of what a storyline is, and it's like the writing staff needs to get their temperatures checked, because there's no way that they should be allowed in the building. Somebody has a high fever if they think that this is good television.
You're so rude.
It's true.
It's true. But you're so rude.
They're horrible.
You're so rude.
Whatever.
So, Mike.
Yes.
What did you think of the show tonight? Give the show a thumbs up or a thumbs down?
Well, considering that I watched this show and my hot take is $1 billion deal for this company from Peacock could go down as one of the worst things that ever happened to them, I'm going to say this is a bad show.
Okay.
if that was my take coming out of this, thumbs down.
I'm actually pleasantly surprised. I thought you were going to say it was a good show. Just
no.
Kidding. Yeah, well, I have to agree. Big old thumb down.
What does everybody think in the chat? Did you give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down? That's what I want to know. I think I know the answer, but you never know.
You never know.
You never know. Let's see what Twitter says. Twitter has it at a 77% thumbs down. Not quite the worst Raw of all time. Again, there were some good things on this show. The Drew McIntyre thing, the Goldberg thing was good. Even despite Miz and Morrison's best efforts to ruin it, it was a good segment. The Edge promo was great. I even liked Sheamus versus the Miz and Morrison. Okay?
Stop trying to suck up.
I'm not. I was serious about that. I wrote it before I even had to suck up to you. It was good. That was it. The women's division is depressing.
Oh, that is
fucking depressing. It just is
drives me nuts.
Sad to watch.
All this build up, that pay-per-view. And everything, there was such a nice trajectory that the females were on, and it
yep,
totally downhill.
Not good stuff. So yes, thumbs down. I am Alpha. I didn't like Raw. Thumbs down. Daniel Schell gives it a thumbs middle finger. Andrew Elder, this show thumbs up. Raw blah. Miz can join Seth at home, according to Andrew.
Oh my God! Everyone just wants to push my buttons.
Quentin Walters says, "Fuck Raw." Enough said. Billy Hefner gives it a thumbs down. Machine Wallace thumbs down. I Am Alpha says the Ric Flair, Edge, and Goldberg appearance helped Raw. Bobby Strauss, evening all. I'm honestly having more fun watching a field mouse avoid my Jack Russell Terrier than watching Raw. Celebrates my birthday Friday, and I say thumbs down minus
early
Edge.
Birthday.
He celebrated his birthday.
Celebrated.
Okay, celebrates it.
Okay, celebrated.
Happy belated birthday to you, Bobby Strauss. Happy belated birthday. Yeah, so that pretty much sums it up there. Watching, you can watch The Circle of Life,
is
or
he getting a video of this? Because I love to see that.
Actually, I'd be curious to see it myself there. But yeah, this show sucked. So we have Royal Rumble coming up this weekend, and if you watch this show, you certainly wouldn't know that. This show made me so excited to watch the Royal Rumble this Sunday. Jesus.
So a couple announcements.
Jorge Oliva gives it a thumbs up just because Edge was there.
Oh, okay. Well, that's fair.
Now we do have to make our pie face bets here.
I think that should we do the predictions thing?
Yeah, why not?
Most predictions. We won't do them now, but we'll.
No, we should do them now so we have them ready to go for next Monday.
Come on.
Why not? Just.
I have to think about stuff.
Well, there's not much to think about here. It's not a giant card.
All right, fine.
All right. Roman Reigns versus Kevin Owens.
Roman Reigns.
Roman Reigns. I'm going to go get Roman Reigns as well. Drew McIntyre versus Goldberg.
Drew.
I'm going to go with Drew McIntyre as well.
Okay.
I can't go against Drew McIntyre there, even though after watching that Alexa Bliss segment, somebody has a fever dream, and it could be Goldberg. Asuka versus Charlotte Flair. Asuka and Charlotte Flair versus Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax for the women's tag team titles.
Asuka and Charlotte Flair.
I'm going with Baszler and Jax.
Okay.
Who's going to win the men's Royal Rumble?
Sheamus.
Oh, okay. I don't know. After watching that Edge segment, it's like, God, Edge versus Drew McIntyre just seems so much more compelling than Drew McIntyre versus Sheamus all of a sudden. It's like, I feel really bad for Sheamus, but if Edge is back and he wins the Royal Rumble, that would be an awesome WrestleMania main event.
Okay.
Edge going for his dream against Drew McIntyre. But my pick is Daniel Bryan.
Okay.
Women's Royal Rumble?
What females are there?
Well, I'm gonna go Bianca Belair. Charlotte Flair's in it. I know that.
I don't know if she's winning though.
She could. You never know.
You know what? I'll just say her just because.
Okay.
Just because.
Well, Alexa Bliss is in it.
I don't see that happening.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna say Bianca Belair. You say Charlotte Flair. I got Edge. No, I got Daniel Bryan. You got Sheamus. Okay.
I don't know. I just
those are gonna be our tiebreakers. I think one of us stands a good chance there. We'll see what happens. Now
what happens if nobody wins?
Now if nobody wins, then whoever. So we'll say whoever finishes closest to the end. So like if Daniel Bryan's in the final four and yours isn't in the final four, or if Daniel Bryan's the last person eliminated, then there you go.
Okay. What happens on the off chance Sheamus and Daniel Bryan are both eliminated at the same time?
We both get pied. Okay, there you go. Now, what did you want to announce?
No, it was going to be about the Rumble.
Oh, what's the Rumble?
About the pie.
Yeah,
it was going to be about the pie.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, it was about the pie.
Oh, okay. All right, excellent. All right, and stay tuned for more stuff. We are going to come back. We'll be back.
Oh, and isn't next week a watch along for us?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Sitter.
Yes, we got to get a sitter.
That was the announcement.
Yes, so we'll have a live watch along of the Raw after the Royal Rumble next week. If we can arrange it, we will do it. So stay tuned for an announcement about that. Until then, I am Mike Tedesco.
And I'm Victoria Tedesco.
Thanks everybody for watching along. We really appreciate you all.
Why'd you do a thumbs up like that?
I don't know.
That was so creepy.
Whatever. Have a good week, everybody, and we'll see you for the Rumble.
Bye.
Bye.